So I've been told these videos would go a little better with some narration for people who don't dive. So today I'm narrating. Yeah. So in this video here, we see some anemones, and in there we have some clownfish. Each anemone holds a different variety. You see these kind of yellowish ones here, the cream ones in the one in the center, and up above you see these more orange, darker ones in the fatter anemone. And those little tiny black ones with white spots, those are the babies. So these are very common in this area. We're in Amami Oshima. And so Amami Oshima is an island. It is in Kyushu. It's part of Kagoshima, but it's closer to Okinawa than anything else. The island is very tropical, very warm. Water quality is usually pretty good. In this case, we are in an area that has some decent fish, but it's also a good area for snorkeling. It was how do you put it? A recording area for an old drama a few years ago, mostly on land, but overlooking the bay here. And so here we have a bunch of damselfish, and this is kind of just the lay of the land here. This area is fairly shallow, maybe 5-6 meters at the most. There's deeper spots. You can get out into 30-50 meters in the center of the bay, but here's pretty shallow. And yeah, this is a kind of a nice little spot to hang out and see if you can rustle up anything worth eating. So jumping ahead a little here, I'm going to make a quick dive. There's a lot of fish around. And I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land, seeing what's what, if there's anything worth taking. There's a lot of parrotfish you'll see. They are the kind of more blue ones. There are a lot of species of parrotfish though. Some of them you can see, like there's a blue parrotfish right there. You'll see some that are more kind of a pinkish red with a white spot. Those are the females of a different variety. Oh, they're all pretty edible, pretty good. Not that popular in Hawaii, or in Amami, but in Hawaii they're pretty popular. So these are a bunch of bonito relatives. The weird thing with them, they swim with their mouths open because they eat plankton. So they're kind of mackerel. I just took a shot at them just to get them to move. And now we're going to try out something new. This is a technique you can use when you're diving in tropical areas. Just throw sand. Just get on the bottom, start chucking as much sand as you can, making a lot of noise. You'll see those fish out there in the background. There's a pretty good sized coral trout, Sujiara in Japanese, that gets attracted by all this noise I'm making. And I've seen him coming. So I'll throw some sand for a little bit and let's try to move forward and get a shot at him. And so now I'm kind of going through that sand cloud I just made. And if you look, he's underneath that ledge behind in the background there. He'll pop up in a second. So he's looking at me. This is very typical grouper behavior. They'll kind of stare at you, and I missed. The band is a little weak on this spear. It's not my spear. I'm borrowing it from a friend. So I've jumped forward a little bit here. I tracked it down to underneath one of these shelves. You can see his head kind of popping out right about now, and under the shelf coral. And so I went negative here. I breathed out a little bit so I could sink a little faster in the shallow water. I lined up on him, took what was a pretty good shot, hit him right in the head, but the flopper didn't, or the head didn't toggle on the spear, so he kind of got away. Unfortunate. Speaking of gotten away and unfortunates, this is probably the biggest thing I saw on this trip. So here I am, ready to make a dive. These are some rainbow runners, some small ones. Kind of swimming along here, you kind of see them up front there. They're a little bit bluish. There's a school of them. But then coming from the left here, you'll see them in a second. Here is a very good sized giant trevally, or ulua. And the pole spear, I just couldn't get close enough. There's actually an octopus that freaks out in the corner there where I put my hand. He's hiding under the coral, but yeah, couldn't get a shot on it. Unfortunate. Probably would have broke the spear if I did, but whatever. You win some, you lose some, huh? So now I'm jumping forward here. This is a different spot. The water area, the quality is really clear, and then you can see here there's that fish that just went under. That is a akahata, or a black tip grouper in English. It's another kind of grouper. The ones I got on Iki before were bigger in general, but on this island on Amami, they don't really get that big. So this is actually pretty good size for this species on this island, about 30 centimeters, 12 inches, give or take. Really good eating. You steam them Chinese style is my personal favorite. You can also do them Japanese style, braised, or fillet them out and make a fish fry or something. But steamed Chinese style, perfect. It's the right fish for the job. And this is the video of probably the best thing I got in this trip, which is a pretty large coral trout, 65 centimeters, give or take. So what's that, like 28 inches? So here I'm diving, and this is the same spot that I got that akahata. You can see the coral trout saw me, he went under the ledge. So here I'm going to kind of conceal myself by hiding on this upper ledge and just poking out a little bit. And you can see the coral trout now, he's poking his head out. He's curious what's going on. It's kind of weird. Then he comes out, takes a look, I took a shot on him. Again, this spear's not mine. It's a little, the rubber's a little bit weaker than I'd prefer, so I didn't hit it in what I thought was a great area. Hit it in the middle area, but kind of towards the belly, so I was afraid it would tear out. So in order to stop that, I kind of just dove on it and grabbed it, and now I'm dragging it up to the surface. I don't want to let go because, yeah, it might tear out, and it's a pretty good size one. Unfortunately, what happens here is that the spear's rubber gets caught in the coral, so I get one breath right about here, and I get pulled back down by the rubber. I can't pull it up to the surface and stay up. And the thing gets away from me for a second, but I got it now. I've got it by the gills. It's not going anywhere. So now I'm powering up my legs, get about 2 or 3 breaths, pushing as hard as I can before this thing drags me under again. And then I was able to turn it off. And then once I turned it off, I was able to let go, because now it's done. And I can go up there and breathe up properly. And then prepare to recover it later, which I did. And so you can see this is the coral trout. Quite big. Like I said, 65 centimeters. It's got some birth defects. You can see the upper part of the tail there is messed up. And if you look at the jaw later on, I didn't notice it at the time, but after when I was cooking it, I noticed it. Its lower jaw is also deformed. It's not straight. It's grown off to one side. So this fish had some issues. You can kind of see the jaw right there. It's not straight. It's either been broken at some point in time or just was like that from the beginning. You can see how it's kind of messed up right there at the bottom. So that's a pretty big fish. There's also a knife jaw, which you can see on a parrot and then a sweet lip. And so yeah, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.